Hello, and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. On behalf of OTC Markets, we are very pleased you've joined us for the second day of the Precious Metals and Critical Minerals Conference. The next presentation of the day is from Arizona Metals. Please note you may submit questions for the presenter in the box to the left of the slides. You can also view a company's availability for one-on-one meetings by clicking Book a Meeting. At this point, I am very pleased to welcome Duncan Middlemiss, Chief Executive Officer and President, and David Smith, VP of Exploration of Arizona Metals, which trades on the OTCQX Best Market under the symbol AZMCF and on TSX under the symbol AMC. Welcome, Duncan and David.
Great, thanks, Lily. I'm joined here today with Dave Smith, our VP of Exploration, as Lily had said. And also Morgan Knowles, our VP of Investor Relations, is in the background here. So thanks everybody for joining us, and thanks to OTCQX for providing this great platform. Of course, we have a forward-looking statement, which is standard in this type of presentation. I can encourage you to read that at your leisure. Arizona Metals. So Arizona Metals definitely is distinguished, I would say, by it's a very high-grade deposit just north of Phoenix. It also has a very large endowment over towards California of its Sugarloaf Peak, which is a gold asset. You can see here some of the intercepts that we've been able to generate over the past, say, 5 years. Both of these drill holes that we note here from the K project, which is a polymetallic VMS, 93.3 meters at 8.3 grams of gold equivalent. Also 125 meters at 2.2% copper equivalent. One thing I would note, you see different reporting of metals, and that's very, I would say, typical for our deposit. Basically, whatever metal wins the day in the intercept gets the note in terms of its reporting. So in terms of the K deposit, I mean, we were really just scratching the surface here. The property is very prospective. We probably explored about 10% of the prospective horizon on the property, so there's a lot of upside here. You can see we did put out a mineral resource in June of 2025. Indicated about 9.3 million tons at 3.18% copper equivalent, which is very good grade, and an inferred of about 0.9 million tons at 2.44% copper EQ. So a really good grade in terms of the VMS, I would say. Nice, compact, underground deposit. I would term it like that. Over to Sugarloaf Peak, I mean, it's got a historic resource of about 1.5 million ounces. A very broad kind of, I'd say, mineralization, shallow, would definitely be contemplated as an open pit type scenario. So good strike and depth potential here at that one also at Sugarloaf. So in terms of our market snapshot, we're currently trading with both on the TSX and the OTCQX. In the States, we've got a market cap of about 100 million Canadian, 136 million shares outstanding, good cash position, enough to certainly get us through our next little while. Analyst coverage, we've got 5 analysts covering us in Toronto-based, so very good coverage. I would say there's definitely good volume in the stock, so that certainly bodes well. In terms of senior management, I mean, I joined the company nearly 2 years ago now. I came from an operating and developer background. I was formerly the CEO of Wesdome Gold Mines, also St. Andrew Goldfields, going back a few years. So very sort of technical operations focused, I would say. Dave has been involved with the company really since its inception. And really good knowledge of both Sugarloaf and the K mine. So excellent, foundation for the company. Morgan's been involved with the company for nearly 4 years now, I believe, and is really good in terms of helping us market and managing shareholder, questions and feedback. In terms of the board of directors, we're joined by Jacques Perron. Jacques came to the company at the same time that I did back in May of 2024. Jacques said, great success in the industry. And again, he comes from a technical operations development background, definitely a lot of experience in the Abitibi and other places. Pam Saxton just joined us. So Pam joined us in September of 2025. She was formerly the Chief Financial Officer of Thompson Creek Metals, and so very financial bent to Pam. She is the head of the audit committee. And rounding out our board is Brianne Bay. Brianne joined us at the AGM in June of 2025. Brianne was formerly the CEO of Angus Gold, which was taken over by Wesdome. So Brianne definitely has the geological wherewithal to certainly help guide the company through its next stages. In terms of our locale, there's nothing better than Arizona when you want to come and talk about copper. So really you can see the physical locations, both the K mine. K mine is really well located. It's just about 45 minutes north of Phoenix. Again, we've just put out the MRE in June of 2025. We are performing a preliminary economic assessment on the K mine based on that MRE. Currently 145,000 meters of drilling performed on the property. So certainly, a good start here. And we're currently going with one drill, doing 2,000 meters of follow-up drilling on our, I would say, our northwest limb, and Dave will get into that in a little bit. Sugarloaf Peak, there's been some metallurgical test work done, oxides, sulfides. I would say both really good recoveries, 95% for the oxides, 85% for the sulfides. Again, a historic non-compliant resource of 1.5 million ounces of gold. There is some silver content in there too. So we've conducted a 25-hole reverse circulation program at Sugarloaf in the fourth quarter of 2025. And we're still waiting for some of the results for that, but really I think it bodes well. It really shows I would say the tenure of the consistency of mineralization and open really along strike and at depth. So I think that bodes well for the company. Getting down to the K mine, I mean, the K mine really resides in around, I would say, the Prescott VMS belt. And you can see some of the historic producers here. It's certainly a really prolific VMS belt. And we always, sort of point to the star of it, I would say, is the United Verde mine. I mean, 30 million tons at almost 5%. Kind of the Phelps Dodge, company maker, I would say. They also went down underground for 3.5 million tons at 10%. So, VMS deposits really, typify, the high grade nature, polymetallic. So certainly good. So we're certainly in the right region here for VMS deposits, and that's where the K mine is located. In terms of the MRE, again, done in June of 2025, we are really blessed with no royalties on the deposit. We've got a exploration plan of operations process underway. Metallurgical testing's ongoing. So really, I would say good infrastructure, power, roads. We've got mineral and water rights on our patented land. So certainly good. You can see here the content really of or I should say the summary of the mineral resource estimate. So you can see really the 3.2% copper EQ, but you can also see, the grade. So within that, 1.4 grams of gold content in the indicated portion, 27.6 grams of silver within that per ton. Copper just below 1%, lead just below about 0.33%, and zinc around 2.4%. So, when you look at the contained metal in both indicated and inferred, I mean, certainly gold content adds up to over 440,000 ounces, and silver is like 8.6 million ounces. So certainly bodes well. Copper over 200 million pounds also. So certainly, I would say that indicates the high grade nature of our mineral resource estimate. I'm going to turn this over to Dave, our VP of Exploration, and Dave can certainly give some context to what's going on geologically here. So, Dave.
Thanks, Duncan. Yeah, Duncan reviewed the mineral resource estimate that we have at K, and we're particularly pleased with the grade at almost 3.2% copper equivalent in the indicated category. That's a very nice grade, and the geometry of the deposit is steeply dipping, and the continuity is excellent. So it's a really attractive mining scenario. In terms of expanding at K, we have a number of opportunities, and that includes infill potential within the deposit to fill in some places where we have some holes in the deposit that we could potentially add tonnage. We are also looking at drilling deeper. The K2 lens has expansion potential at depth, and we have camp potential on the property, which is quite attractive. The K2 lens was initially intersected in hole 166, where we intersected 50 meters at just over 6 grams per ton gold, which was a delightful intercept. And that lens is going down. We now have our deepest hole extends the deposit to over 1,300 meters vertically. So we see good potential in expanding the deposit at depth. And in terms of some background on VMS deposits, these are deposits that form on the seafloor by circulating warm fluids that deposit their metals at or near the seafloor. And then in the case of K and the other deposits in this region, those have been folded over and tilted over about 2 billion years since they formed. And what we have now at K is a prospective horizon that stretches over about 10 kilometers of strike length within about 2 kilometers laterally on our property. So nature has done a beautiful job of repeating the stratigraphy that we're looking for, and giving us good access on the property. And we have a number of new drill pads which are testing that strike length. The K mine deposit itself is on the eastern portion of the project there, and we have recently, within the last year, added 6 new drill pads. We have another 2 drill pads in permitting currently in order to give us access to that prospective stratigraphy. And in terms of targets along that prospective stratigraphy, the K mine deposit itself, you can see in red on the right or eastern portion of the deposit. That horizon stretches north, and we call that the K North extension target, where we've had a number of attractive drill intercepts. Then it's folded back toward the south through the north central target, in which we've discovered a number of other horizons as well. And the target that we're currently exploring is the western target to the left on this figure, and where we have a drill rig going and 2,000 meters of drilling planned on that target. On the west target, we have previous drill holes that have discovered a consistent mineralized horizon over 750 meters of strike length, and we're following that north with our current drilling. And we continue, as we're working on this project, to de-risk it in preparation for production. And a number of our efforts include purchasing state and private land for operational buffers and potential sites for facilities. We have been very sensitive about having a low impact on our exploration activities and being attentive to being light on the environment and the community. And we're, water in Arizona is an important topic. So we're looking for a regional water supply that would not compete or impact with the water supply in the nearby community. We have also begun gathering baseline data for production permitting, and we're in close contact and have a great relationship with the Bureau of Land Management, which is the federal permitting authority for mining on our property. And we're also looking ahead to production opportunities to lessen the impact of our mining, such as dry stack tailings. And so we're very conscious of being a good neighbor and of putting this on a relatively low risk track to production. The other asset in the property is the Sugarloaf Peak, which is a different asset. It's nice to have variety. This is a bulk tonnage gold opportunity. As Duncan mentioned, we've got metallurgical testing on this property with really, really very good results of oxide recoveries up to 95% and sulfide recoveries up to 85%. The historic resource on this property is about 1.5 million ounces at a grade of about 0.5 gram per ton. And we are currently exploring this property. We did 5,000 meters of reverse circulation drilling last year. We're still waiting for the last holes to come in on those. And so far, the results are very encouraging. We've got long intercepts. We've been expanding the deposit. It's showing great continuity. And we have broadened the width of the deposit along about 1 kilometer of strike length. So we're quite pleased with what we've been doing there in terms of drill intercepts. And we're currently doing a comprehensive exploration program at Sugarloaf to gather a thorough modern data set that we can integrate with the historic data and really do some fine-tuned drill targeting for additional drilling later in this year. So looking ahead, a bright future in the company, we're very pleased with the MRE at K. That's forming the basis of a preliminary economic assessment that we'll be putting out in the first quarter. We're continuing to explore the 10 kilometers of strike length that we have on the K property. And we're really pleased with how Sugarloaf Peak is turning out to be quite a robust deposit, and it's standing up to all the testing that we're giving it. So we're looking forward to continuing to develop both assets. And we will turn it over to questions at this point. Thank you very much for being here.
Great. Thanks so much, guys. It's Morgan Knowles here. Duncan and Dave, questions for you. Dave, with the deep trunk holes at K2, what have you discovered? Has the asset been developed deeper than a year ago? And what are your thoughts on how low down this asset could become?
Yeah, yes, the asset has been developed deeper than it was a year ago. Hole 177A extended by about 280 meters below our previously deepest drill hole, and then intersected over 4 meters of mineralization. So we are currently working on the preliminary economic assessment, and we will take the recommendations of the PEA and move forward with potentially more drilling at the K deposit based on the PEA. And one of the places that I would really like to see us drill, and that we intend to drill, is deeper on the K2 lens. I hope this goes another kilometer deep, and the only way to find that out is to test it. But VMS deposits tend to come in clusters. They tend to have long lives, and they tend to expand with exploration. And so we're looking forward to exploring the depth potential at K, and we're hopeful for more mineralization.
Great. Okay, a question for you, Duncan. Given the quality of the K MRE and the updated Sugarloaf results, have you seen a tangible uptick in majors of interest or mid-tiers interested over the last 6 months?
Well, Morgan, without getting too specific, because obviously some of these things would be very confidential in nature, I would say that the interest in the company and the K deposit is pretty strong right now, especially in terms of what's gone on with metal prices. I mean, you can see in terms of the price deck, and I'll just go to it here if that's okay. So basically, you can see the price deck that was used for the MRE, and gold at 2,200 US an ounce, and silver at 26, and copper at 410. So we just look at those things. I mean, gold's $5,000 an ounce, and silver is 80, and copper is $6. So it's a different landscape since incredibly in the last 7 months. I mean, how things have evolved. But yeah, I know definitely. I would say that interest in our project and projects, definitely in Arizona, which is a great jurisdiction, certainly is on the uptick. So we'll leave that there.
Great, thank you. What are the next steps after the PEA? Are there plans to move to PFS?
I would say we're going to, definitely incorporate recommendations from the PEA. I mean, that's really what, one of the purposes is for the preliminary economic assessment is what are the next recommended steps. I mean, these are, recommended by kind of a group of industry experts, of course. We're using G Mining, which is a highly regarded, technical services company within the industry. And certainly, and they, incorporate other experts throughout the field in whatever it is, whether it's geology or mining or metallurgy, whatever. And so certainly we're going to take note of that. But yeah, where is the next steps for us? I mean, right now we're certainly doing a lot of work on targeting. As Dave mentioned, I mean, when we look at the property, I mean, we've got basically, and I'm going to swing to the property right now if I can. What you can see here, I mean, that 10-kilometer, potentially mineralized horizon. It's very rare that we drill into that horizon and we don't get anything. And so, looking at the nature of the VMS deposits here, I mean, the K mine out of this 10 kilometers probably represents about 120 meters of strike length. So, how to kind of, you can't just go through this property and drill every 50 meters a fan of holes. You definitely have to get, kind of a targeted approach as to where we want to go. We really just got over to the northwest side, and we're going to start to come down south. Of course, we do have our exploration plan of operations process ongoing right now. So that would definitely give us, I would say, more unfettered access to the entire property. However, I do note that we really haven't been kind of stymied by operating under what they call the notice of intent for exploration, where we're allowed 5 acres of disturbance. So really what that means is we have to do progressive reclamation, and in order to develop a new pad or a new road, we have to ensure that we stay within that 5 acres. So anyways, I hope that answered that question.
Great, thank you. And question here, given the deeper high-grade intercepts at K2, how are you thinking about optimizing the mine plan between higher grade deep material and shallower, perhaps lower cost stopes in the early years?
Really, as the mining plan evolves, I mean, certainly it's contemplated to be ramp access right now. Let's face it, if Dave finds something 2 kilometers below that kind of draws our interest down there, like 100 meters of some crazy intercept, then definitely we have to kind of change our thinking, likely to vertical access, which would be a shaft. In terms of the K deposit as it is right now, it kind of goes from 50 meters below surface to about 1 kilometer below surface. So definitely ramp access. And so, I mean, as ramps, get developed, they start from surface, obviously, and, continue on down. So at what point do you go in and start the mine plan? I mean, you don't want to wait too long because you want to start to generate some cash flow. So it's always a balance. Again, if it's something which is typically, I would say, greater than perhaps 12 or 1,500 meters, then I think you really have to start to look at shaft access in terms of what we need to do here in order to develop this. So.
Great. One more question because we're running out of time here. How important is the silver content in K considering the higher silver spot prices these days?
Oh, it's huge. It's again, it's been amazing. I mean, I've got an Excel spreadsheet off to the side where we run metal value at the price deck we use for the MRE, and we run it now, and like it's just it's kind of flipped. The deposit, I think, at these prices is over 50% revenue would be generated from precious metals, and gold would be, definitely the winner on that one. I would say it's almost 40%. Silver would be another 10 or 11%. So definitely, it kind of shifts the focus. But we start to see some momentum in the copper price too. So it's hard to say where this is going. It's all a win for the company, though. There's no doubt about that.
Great. Thank you guys so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. And if we didn't get to all of your questions, please reach out to me at mknowles@arizonametalscorp.com, and I will individually write back the answers to all of the missed questions today. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Great. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.